Hi, I'm Marty, and this is Cooking at the Kraus house. Today we're going to make cinnamon rolls. So this is sort of a little bonus video from last time. So last time we made Paula's rolls, and while the rolls are delicious, they also make delicious cinnamon rolls. And so what I do when I make cinnamon rolls is I use half a batch of Paula's dough, and then we make cinnamon rolls. And that's what we have. That's what we're going to be making today. They're a little bit tricky because the dough is sticky, but they're delicious. And if at first it doesn't work out, try them again, because the more often you do it, the better you get at it. And even the ones that don't look as beautiful still taste just as good. Hi, we have let our dough rise. Remember, we just did a half of a batch of Paula's rolls. And now when we roll them out, we're only gonna roll out half at a time, because if we did the whole thing, it rolls out to about this long. It's hard to work with. I do it, but if I was just starting to do it, I would just do half at a time until you get used to it and comfortable, and then go ahead and try it, whatever you want. So we're gonna take about half of this dough, and we floured our surface. Well, really, I'm a bad guesser about what half is when you're dumping it out, so I just dump out the whole thing, and then I say, oh, okay, this looks like about half. I'm gonna use my cutter. And remember, this is so sticky, and that's good. That's what we want, because if it wasn't, we would have the world's driest cinnamon rolls. So it's okay that it's super sticky, and don't get nervous about that. One of the things that makes these cinnamon rolls so delicious is that they are just so fluffy and light. And I don't know if you've had people's homemade cinnamon rolls before that look like you can see every ring in it, and they kind of separate, and that, in my opinion, is not a delicious cinnamon roll. So once you make them with this Paula's roll dough, you will forever be a cinnamon roll snob. Okay, so you can use a rolling pin if you want to, but I just pat it out. And so I'm gonna make it about, and see when I pushed that and then it was sticky, so I'm just gonna keep flouring. Like if you get a sticky spot, just put a little bit of flour on and keep smashing it out. Okay, I'm just gonna keep smashing it out, patting it out, not smashing, just gently patting. And so when it's about, I would say this is probably more than 12 inches, maybe 15, and I'm gonna say it's about 10 inches wide. So somewhere between 10 and 12 and 12 and 15 long. And then when you have that nice little rectangle like that, and if it's not perfect, that's okay. We're gonna be able to compensate for that later. So now we're ready. We've got our dough the size we want it, and this is about 2 tablespoons of butter that I melted, and I'm just gonna pour it on there. Now be careful, because you don't want too much. If it starts going over the edge and gets all sloppy, it's just a big mess. So you're gonna take the back of your spoon and just spread it around close to the edge, but don't go over. And just make it so that it's all covered in the center, especially. All right, now we're going to do cinnamon sugar. So now, of course, this is just rolls according to Marty. And that's what this is about, cooking at the Kraus house. So this is what we do. So this is probably about a half a cup of sugar and cinnamon, And you can put it on however you want to. You can sprinkle it from a cup or use a spoon and put it on, but I like to go all the way around the edge first and then fill in the center. And I don't want to have any butter spots that don't have cinnamon and sugar. I want it to be covered nicely, although the dough is super sweet, so it wouldn't be horrible if you got a little spot without it. Okay, Now, this is about a 1/4 cup of brown sugar, and I don't use very much. I sprinkle it on, but sparingly. So this was exactly a 1/4 cup, and I'm not even going to use all of it. I probably used about half of it, so 1/8 of a cup. And the reason you don't want very much is because it globs out and they get to be a sticky mess, which seems delicious when you first take them out of the oven, but then it hardens and then they're hard to get out of the pan and it can make them burn on the bottom and just a mess. So I don't put very much brown sugar. All right, so the next thing we're gonna do is roll them up, and you can start from anywhere. Now, because this dough is sticky, it's gonna stick to the counter no matter how much I floured it. So I'm gonna take my little cutter and if there's a place that sticks, I'm just gonna do like that. Then I'm gonna keep rolling, and I just keep rolling back and forth, oops, until I get the whole thing rolled. Right, so we've got it rolled into this nice little, pretty even, tender little cinnamon roll. And we're gonna spray into this pan. Now, you can use a 9x13. You can use round cake pans. I usually, if you make the whole half, both of those, it will fit into a cookie sheet. And when you put it in a cookie sheet, put parchment on the bottom so that you don't have a mess. But these are disposable, so I don't really care. And I'm gonna give these away to someone, so I wanna put it in a disposable pan. So you wanna choose your pan based on what you're gonna do with your cinnamon rolls. All right, so now here's the thing. Whoops. Super hard to just start cutting them and get exactly how many you want. I want 12. And so the easiest way to do it is I'm gonna cut this in half. So now I know that each of those has to be 6. So I'm gonna cut it in half again, and I know each of those has to be 3 sections. And so now it's pretty easy to eyeball 3. So I'm just going to cut this in thirds, and then I'll put them into my pan. And you can kind of round them up a little bit, because remember, this is the tenderest dough ever, but they won't look all smashed up once they rise and you bake them. They'll be perfect, and you will be forever known as the boss of cinnamon rolls. Okay. You can see kind of how tender they are when I pick them up. And you just make them into a nice little circle. And that's what they look like. You can see them sort of, if I tilt the pan, they'll tilt too. But that's what they look like. I'm gonna cover them, and I'm gonna let them raise for 2 hours, and then I'm gonna bake them. Okay, these are out of the oven now, and you can see 1/2 of a recipe of Paula's roll dough makes 2 dozen cinnamon rolls. And see how nice and they rose and how close together they are. And that's exactly what you want them to look like. So now we're gonna make we're gonna frost them with cream cheese frosting. And the recipe for this will be in the video, but it's cream cheese, butter, vanilla, and powdered sugar. And then you just whip it up. And then you're going to frost these. And you don't want to frost them like a cake, like just one spread over. Put just a little dollop, well, really a big dollop on each one, and then kind of circle spread it so that your cinnamon rolls are like individuals. You can also toast almonds, and when I put almonds in, I like to add them into the frosting when I'm mixing the frosting. Or you could toast almonds and sprinkle them over the top. Or you don't have to put nuts at all, because so many people today are allergic to nuts. You don't want anyone to die while they're having your delicious cinnamon rolls. Well, that's it. You made cinnamon rolls. Please try them more than once. It's a little bit tricky with the sticky dough, but it's well worth it. They are so moist and delicious, and when people try them, they will be their very favorite. And there's lots you can do with them too. They're delicious for breakfast, they're fun to have at a brunch, and we've even made 250 of them for a wedding dinner. So there's lots of uses for cinnamon rolls, and they're delicious for dessert. You can also change up the frosting. You can add some maple to the frosting, or toasted almonds, or whatever you'd like. Make them your own. I want to thank everyone for watching. I want to ask you to please subscribe and click on the little notification bell. Please leave a comment if you'd like to, and please try them and let me know how they worked out. Thanks so much.